This is Justin Derby of Wildcat Spread 40, bringing you the latest pregame preview video. This week, 5th ranked undefeated Linfield takes on 8-1, 8th ranked Cal Lutheran in the first round of the NCAA playoffs. The Cal Lutheran offense has been arguably the most explosive offense in the country this year. Despite that terrible offensive showing against Linfield, which, hey, Linfield's defense, they're great. Cal Lutheran has just steamrolled everyone since that game. During their 8-game win streak to end the regular season, Cal Lutheran averaged over 50 points and 500 yards of offense a game. As it stands with the Linfield game, Cal Lutheran comes into the first round averaging 47 points and 488 yards of offense a game. A really good balance of run and pass. 260 on the ground, 228 through the air. Very versatile and explosive offense. As far as the running game goes, it really starts with Daniel Mosier, one of the best running backs in the country. Finished the regular season with 1,027 yards and 17 touchdowns with an 8.1 yard per carry average. Just easily one of the most explosive running backs around. Just a really tough guy to bring down and tackle. And Linfield and Redlands were the only teams this year who showed an ability to do that. And for Cal Lutheran, their quarterback, Jake Laudenslayer, great thrower, but also showing off his mobility on the ground as he had 419 yards and 5 touchdowns on the year, second on the team in rushing yards, and a 5.3 yard per carry average, kind of playing the role of Aaron Bomey like he did for Linfield last year. And for Laudenslayer, passing the ball through the air has been great this year. He had a slow start to the year in the first 2-3 games, but he finished the season with 2,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 8 picks, and a 65.6 completion percentage. His quarterback rating of 175.9 is one of the best in the country, and certainly the best in his conference. And in the wide receiving core, who can forget wide receiver Eric Rogers, who had 886 yards and 8 touchdowns on the season, including a staggering 24 yards a catch. This guy is one of the best wide receivers in the country, if not the best, and is definitely an NFL training camp kind of prospect. This Cal Lutheran offense was contained by Linfield the first time they met, held under 350 yards and only 14 points. But Cal Lutheran has grown up a lot on offense since that game, and if Linfield were to hold them to that low of a performance again, that would be one of the most incredible stories of the year. As it stands, Cal Lutheran's offense probably going to score more this time around.
They're playing at an extremely high level, and they've got a good system and extremely good talent to go with it, so that's why they're putting the points up. Well, I don't know that you can defend everything. You got to kind of pick and choose what you want to beat you or allow to have a chance to beat you. And, it's hard to stop the run game and all the pass options. It's going to be a good challenge. That Rogers is quite a matchup. He's as good as there is in the country, and he's outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Linfield defense has been amazing this year, giving up only 11.7 points, 285 yards of offense per game. This unit has been one of the best in the country. Also on the year, Linfield's defense has forced 22 turnovers, 15 of which have been interceptions, most of which by their strong secondary. And their third down conversion percentage allowed is only 22%, which is also among the nation's best. So Linfield defense is one of the best defenses Linfield has produced in a long time, but they'll be running up against a Cal Lutheran offense that has been on absolute tear since their season opening loss to Linfield. That season opening loss, Cal Lutheran only had 342 yards and 14 points, but since that game, Cal Lutheran has been averaging over 51 points and 506 yards of offense a game. This Cal Lutheran offense has been the most explosive offense in the country, arguably, this year. And going into this playoff game, Linfield will be facing their biggest challenge yet on the defensive side of the ball. The Linfield offense has been spectacular this year, which is not quite what they were anticipating in the preseason. After leading passer Aaron Bomey, leading rusher Simon Lamps, and leading receiver Chris Slezak all graduated last year, many people thought the Linfield offense would finally see a downward turn in their production this season. That was not the case. Going into this first round playoff matchup with Cal Lutheran, Linfield's offense is averaging 41.7 points, which was tops in the Northwest Conference, and 440 yards per game, which was second in the conference behind Lewis Clark. Last couple of years, Linfield's offense has been more of a zone read, Oregon type offense. Even though their passing rate, they passed more than they ran. They still ran an Oregon type offense. This year, Linfield has passed a lot more than it's ran, and they've kind of abandoned the zone read altogether, with Mickey Inns being the quarterback, although the running game is still okay at times. Averaging 294 yards a game through the air as a team, Linfield is powered by Mickey Inns, who was a complete unknown coming into this year and has developed into one of the nation's finest quarterbacks, and certainly one of the finest ones on the West Coast. On the year, Mickey Inns has completed 59.5% of his passes for 296 yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions, with a quarterback rating of 155.6. Just one of the most spectacular passers around. And in the receiving core, there's a good trio, much like last year. DJ Wiersma led the team with 41 catches for 650 yards, but had only 3 touchdowns on the season. Lucas Jepson had 26 receptions for 520 yards, which was second on the team, and 8 receiving touchdowns, which was number 1. Also spectacular was his 20 yards per catch average. Just a really, really explosive receiver with a knack for making big plays. Buddy Saxon was second on the team in receptions of 29 for 371 yards and 6 touchdowns, which was second on the team. And not to be outdone in this offense is running back Josh Hill, who was not the starter at the beginning of the season, but when Aaron Williams got injured in the Cal Lutheran game and couldn't stay healthy the whole year, Josh Hill exploded in the Cal Lutheran game for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns, and has not looked back since, as he made first team all-conference this year. Josh Hill had 731 yards and 8 touchdowns on the year for 4.7 yard per carry average. Just a really fine running back who has a good balance of speed, power, ball vision, everything you want in a good running back. Josh Hill has it. Looking at Cal Lutheran from the beginning of the season, Linfield's offense really struggled in that game, especially to throwing the ball. They got 409 yards, which looks, is a good number, but 256 of that was rushing. And Mickey Inns had a terrible day throwing the ball that day, going 9 of 24 for 122 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Wasn't for Josh Hill's career day, that game could have gone a completely different direction.
We need to be balanced on offense and be able to run and pass. If we get one-dimensional, it'll eventually lead to being no-dimensional. So, and that's very bad.
The Cal Lutheran defense is a really, really good defense. Not quite on the same level as Linfield's defense this year, but still a very solid defense, giving up just over 16 points a game and about 292 yards of offense. Cal Lutheran's defense was one of the few teams this year to give Linfield's offense troubles. Linfield in that opening game had over 400 yards of offense, 256 on the ground, but they really, really struggled to pass the ball against Cal Lutheran. Mickey Inns' first start of his career was not a very good one, 9 of 24 for 122 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. If it hadn't been for Linfield's tremendous running that day, it could have been a completely different game. Since that game, Linfield's offense has really taken off in the passing game, and they finished the season averaging just under 300 yards a game through the air. And Mickey Inns went on to throw 24 touchdowns versus only 3 picks since that game. Just incredible touchdown to interception ratio for Inns the rest of the season. And one of the other problems Linfield had that has been exposed from time to time is they had 2 turnovers against Cal Lutheran. 3 turnovers actually. And all 3 of those turnovers came on drives where Linfield had something going and they turned it over inside the Cal Lutheran red zone. It's just for Linfield against a defense like Cal Lutheran's, they're going to have to avoid those kind of turnovers and cash in on all their opportunities. And for Cal Lutheran, if their defense can create those opportunities like they did before, they stand a chance of pulling off the upset at Maxwell Field. Keys to the game are pretty obvious for Linfield. They got to avoid what they did before the first time against Cal Lutheran. Got to avoid turnovers on drives where they have something going. Got to cash in on all their red zone opportunities. And the other thing they have to improve on is they have to improve their passing performance. Now, their poor passing against Cal Lutheran you could attribute to first game jitters and the lack of chemistry they had at the time because it was Mickey Inn's first start, but 8 games later, Linfield's passing offense is clearly one of the best in the country. They will not perform as bad as they did the first time around. And it'll be hard for Cal Lutheran to stop Linfield's offense this time, especially if they can still run as effectively as they did before. For Cal Lutheran, they had an early lead last time and let it slip through their fingers. You've got to find a way to score on Linfield's defense. And the main way they're going to do that is they've got to get Daniel Mosier going. Mosier has been one of the most spectacular backs in the country all year, but Linfield was one of the few games where he just could not break loose. If they can get Mosier in open field and get him out there running, combined with Cal Lutheran's passing attack between Laudenslayer and Rogers, they might actually be able to crack this Linfield defense. I mean, they're one of the most explosive offenses in the country, if not the most explosive. So if they can get into open field against Linfield, they stand a chance to make some plays. On the defensive side of the ball, if they can force the turnovers that they did last time and hold Linfield to 24 points, their chances of winning are probably really high. This is a game that anything can happen, as they've shown over the last couple of years. This could be a total shootout. This could be a low-scoring defensive game. You don't know what to expect with these two teams playing each other. But I do expect this first-round playoff game to feel kind of like a semifinal game. When you have two top 10 teams going at each other in the first round, it tends to be pretty special. You kind of wish that this was a later round matchup, but the way the NCAA committee picked these brackets, there's not much you can do. This is Justin Derby of Wildcat Sprint 40.